usted, con sus familias. Vamos a empezar en inglés y después en español. Good morning, everybody. Happy Thursday, February 3rd. Hope this second month of the year is off to an amazing start for you. You're staying healthy, the family's staying healthy, and nothing but good news coming your way. What I want to talk about today is we had a little bit of an update from our President Joe Biden on his one-year success with USCIS. Now, when we're talking about the immigration agencies in the country, we have to remember there's different entities. USCIS is the agency that gives benefits. They give work permits, they give permanent residency cards, they grant citizenship. Then there's ICE. ICE is responsible for interior enforcement, arresting, deporting, putting people in front of the judge. Immigration judge is another component called EOIR. EOIR is under the Attorney General's office, and that is the court system. And you also have CBP, Customs and Border Protection, which is on the border area within the border region. Right? So we're talking about USCIS updates, what they've been working on. So I want to get straight to that over here. We have the executive order progress that has been made. So this is essentially some Biden propaganda here we're going over. But don't worry, folks, as always, we go over unfiltered and not going to hide anything or say anything to the advantage simply because it's a Democrat office, not a Republican. Still fuming, still unbelievably upset. We couldn't get some sort of immigration reform, some sort of immigration work permit, something done last month. Absolutely ridiculous. And good morning, Josefina. Thanks for tuning in. As always, anybody got questions, comments, concerns, drop them down below. Anything immigration, criminal, car accidents, put it down below right here on live. I'll answer it to the best of my ability. Now, the first one that I really like over here, and we do have to applaud the administration, is that they went back to the 2008 civics test. Trump changed the civics test to become a naturalized citizen, made it more difficult. This went back. Now the old questions are in play, making it much easier for individuals to become citizens. Still not just handing it to people, right? You still got to put work into it. You still got to study, but it's much more fair than it was under the Trump administration. We also want to applaud the public charge rule being taken away. A lot of people still afraid of this because they got heavy media when it was announced because it was really bad and it was targeted towards going after our community to deny them residency. That also is gone, right? Then we have some of the other programs that they're talking about in here. The Central American Minors Program. And again, they start with the good ones, but the bad ones here are not in there, right? When we're thinking about migration from Central America, we have to also talk about the program where they're keeping people in Mexico, and the Biden administration reinstated that. Now, this is USCIS, so maybe that's why they can argue they kept it out, but nonetheless, that trumps anything in this pamphlet that they put out, the fact that they're continuing with the Remain in Mexico program or reinstating it. That was really something evil from the Trump administration, right? So we have a couple other changes that they made. One of the big ones was trying to lower the amount of time it's taken on applications, and we've seen this in the office. We have seen marriage cases getting a little bit faster, citizenship cases getting a little bit faster. So I think from that point, the Biden administration is coming through with some of those promises that they put out there. Also trying to make it easier for naturalization, especially for folks in the military. So good things, some good changes that we're seeing from USCIS in this past year. Again, but if we're giving the overall rating on Biden immigration in 1 year, it's much lower than I thought it was going to be. This is the most positive one, USCIS, the negative one, the Remain in Mexico program, the lack of ability to get an immigration reform done. Obviously, Congress, Senate, Senate parliamentarian, I understand that, but nonetheless, these are the promises that were made and promises that were not fulfilled. We got a question over here. Let me run to this question real quick. And again, folks, keep coming down with the questions, comments, concerns, whatever you have it. Let's see what we got here. Daniel Nunez asks, let me see here. It may be off topic, but I was talking To a friend who's been working on his wife's immigration status, he's considering getting a new attorney. Is it okay to change his sales right now? That's difficult to answer, Daniel, because one, people oftentimes have a misunderstanding of the benefit that an attorney can bring to a case. An attorney's role in an immigration case, and specifically we're talking here about a marriage case, right? The marriage case here that we're talking about, it has to do with the USCIS process. And the USCIS process, that's something that's out of the control of the attorney. One of the most mind-boggling things to me is, if you're a U.S. citizen and you marry someone from another country, the amount of time it takes for that person to become a permanent resident is absolutely ridiculous. That's insane. Like in this USCIS announcement that we have yesterday, I would love to see more discussion showing the actual time it takes to get someone's spouse into the country or to fix their papers within the country. So if that attorney is doing everything right, but your friend's simply frustrated with the amount of time it's taking, then no, it doesn't make sense to switch attorneys, right? So oftentimes I'll get calls from folks, and one of the first questions I ask is, well, who's your attorney? And if I know that attorney and I know the quality of their work, I can often say within the first 5 minutes of our conversation, you should just stick with that attorney. I did that yesterday with somebody. Called me, said, this is my attorney. I said, I don't even know what I'm talking to. I shouldn't even be talking with you. You got a great attorney. I can't give advice to you. You're already represented by somebody else, but nonetheless, even if you wanted to hire me instead of them, I would say no, because you're already in great hands, right? So if your frustration is with the system, if your frustration is with the process, that's not something that switching attorneys will help you with. Now, big but, B-U-T right here, if the attorney is not answering your phone calls, returning your phone calls, returning your messages, not having you review documentation before it's submitted, taking a long time to send out documents once you've actually given them to the attorney, then there could be a huge problem. Then it might be worth cutting ties with that attorney, asking for your complete file, going over to a new attorney's office. Now remember, ladies and gentlemen, whenever you're working with an attorney, speaking specifically for here in Arizona, it's your money that you gave them that they have to earn. At any point, you can come to them and say, I'm done with your services. Let me have all my file back. I'm going somewhere else. At that point, they're supposed to supply you with an accounting of their time that they put into the case and the fee that was actually earned, and then refund you any money that was unearned. That's the general flat fee contract. And so don't be intimidated, right? If the attorney's really done nothing for you and they can't prove they've done anything for you, then you should be entitled to a refund. Now, will attorneys say that they did this, they did that? Sure they will, but that has to be documented and proven, and you can ask for fee arbitration from the State Bar of Arizona if you don't agree with their accounting, right? And he didn't want to throw the attorney under the bus, but he's financially and physically exhausted. I have no problem, Daniel, throwing other attorneys under the bus if they're not living up to the standards of what an attorney is meant to be. Maybe, we're friendly, maybe we hang out together, whatever, but if I hear from someone that they're doing inadequate work, unethical representation, really prejudicing someone that's in front of me, I don't care who it is, right? I don't care who it is. We all make mistakes. We're all human. I'm not trying to say that I'm perfect. My office is perfect, nothing like that. But I'm simply saying, if there's someone from the community that has an expectation of quality service, and that quality service is not just only not being met, but you're receiving inappropriate guidance, you're receiving ineffective assistance of counsel, the bar which with our standards have to be held as attorneys is extremely high. And we shouldn't lower them because we're representing Latinos or representing immigrants, representing people of color or non-Spanish speakers. That same high quality of standards for attorneys that corporate America has should be the same for our community that we serve. So if someone's not getting that service, then most definitely they can take their file, go to someone else, and I got zero problem. Someone messed up a case, I got no problem reaching out and say, hey, I'm filing an IAC claim with the court. You feel free to give me a letter explaining your situation. I'll include that in the packet to the judge. It might not be the best for making friends, but I'm not here to make friends. I got enough friends already. Matter of fact, I have too little time enough already for the friends I have and the family I have. So if you're doing a disservice to the community, if you're doing a disservice to someone you think that's not going to complain or they're not going to know how to go about righting a wrong, don't matter. We're going to step up and do it regardless of who the person is that's on the other side of the table. If it's justified, right? Because like I said, a lot of times you'll get someone here complaining and they come in and complain this and that, and I tell them, it'd be the same thing if you were with us. Like you're mad at your attorney, but you should be mad at the system, right? You should be mad at the unjust, racist immigration procedures that we have set up, not at your attorney. So I'll also have that conversation, right? I'm not here to throw anybody on the bus for the sake of it, but if they're not giving that service, tell your friend, hey, take your file, go somewhere else. Make sure that you are being treated with dignity and respect in all aspects of the process, right? Of course, Benny, my pleasure to be able to get on here and try to explain some of these changes that are going on with USCIS. Mostly good, right, from the Biden administration that we've gotten in this first year. Obviously, we have to continue to push, and the one thing I would encourage folks to push on is this exact topic that we're talking about. The amount of time it takes. We have an attorney here in the office who did his paperwork for his own spouse, and he went on to sue the government because it was taking so long. And they mistreat attorneys who are trying to get their spouses adjusted. Imagine what they do to someone who's not an attorney. And this is our government system that we have set up today, right? Thank you, brother. Sorry for go off on it. Just when that question brings up a lot of things that I've had people sit in this office bawling in tears because an attorney who bills himself to the community as one for the community effed up their case. I'm very proud of constraining myself on that word right now, but nonetheless, it happens. And again, I'm not perfect. I'm not a saint, right? That whole thing about throwing stones in glass houses, that applies. But I'm just saying, if we see it wrong, we need to step up. Did something bad, my bad, go somewhere else. I'll write you a letter explaining how I did bad, right? That's the kind of ethics and standards we should have as an attorney. Not saying we need to be perfect all the time, but if we do mess up, we need to make sure we right our wrongs and make sure at the end of the day the client and the community get served. Right? My pleasure. Hope all is going well. And thanks for joining on. Another change topic discussion that I wanted to inform people about, which is exciting news, the possibility of, again, a geek immigration attorney here speaking, independent immigration courts envision a new legislation. So there was a bill introduced in Congress. Again, when you say that, you just get frustrated, like, yeah, how many times have we seen a good bill introduced that goes nowhere? But I wanted to explain to you a little bit about this one because I think it's important for people to know and be able to advocate for it. Right now, the immigration court system is controlled by the Department of Justice, but specifically by the Attorney General's office, which means what? Which means every new administration completely can change the lives of those going through removal proceedings. The 4 years under Trump were absolute horror, terror, destruction of the immigration court system, taking power away from the judges, that they could no longer admin close the case, changing the definitions of words to make it more difficult for people to get asylum. And Biden administration comes in, and okay, thank you. It took a lot of time before some of those things were changed, specifically the ones I just mentioned, but now they're back. Now we can go ask a judge for admin closure. Now we can win more asylum cases than we were winning under Trump administration because these definitions have changed. Is that just? Is that fair? Should the validity of the court system depend on who is the president in office? Or should we have that separation of powers we're all taught about, have that little cartoon going on when we were in elementary school, right? Here we have the president essentially controlling the results of immigration cases. Oh, attorney, you're exaggerating. No way, it can't be that bad. Well, guess what? I'm about to speak the truth right here. So you might want to start listening. An immigration judge in Phoenix can issue a decision. We can submit briefs, this big. We can have all-day hearings, and testimony and people crying and great legal arguments, and the immigration judge can issue a decision, right? We'll say granting the person asylum. Let's say that. Great, everybody's happy, walk out the court super happy, love it. The government can appeal, right, a legal issue. They take it to the Board of Immigration Appeals. Board of Immigration Appeals says, you know what? We agree with the judge. We evaluated the case. We looked at the entire record. We read the entire transcript. We saw all the pleadings. The immigration judge was right. This person wins. At that point, the Attorney General, a single individual appointed by the President, can say, I'm going to take this case and put it on my desk. I don't have to read anything if I don't want to. I'm going to issue a new decision saying that person doesn't win their case. Yeah, that is the immigration court system we have right now. That's the kangaroo process that we have right now. That's why this bill is so important to come into play, so we can have a judiciary that's completely independent from whoever is in the Attorney General's seat at that time. Now, does it benefit me as a practitioner today to have someone appointed by Biden in that seat? Yeah, for the most part it does. Is it perfect? No. Is it ideal? Is it the paradise? Is it the far left conspiracy and everybody gets papers? Not even close. But it's better than Trump. Doesn't mean it's just. But how do we move towards the process of real justice? By independently judges being able to issue decisions without a single individual, a king, a queen, if you will, to take that case, turn it around, and give a different opinion. That's my humble thoughts on the day and what's going on in USCIS and EUIR. I'm going to switch over to Spanish. Feel free to drop any questions you have in English down still below, and happy to get to them as well. Muchísimas gracias, Reina. Mi placer. Y ya empezamos en español. Lo que estamos hablando hoy son los cambios de USCIS que Biden anunció después de un año. Las cosas positivas que sí hemos visto. Ya quitó el cargo público, que es el miedo que muchas personas tenían de aplicar, y realmente fue escrito para que menos gente en nuestra comunidad pudiera arreglar. Ya tenemos algo mucho más mejor, como estaba antes, y es más fácil a ser aprobado si tienes a alguien que sí puede decir y dar sus impuestos. Yo voy a ayudar a esa persona para que no tiene que usar beneficios. También hemos visto que lo están haciendo los casos más rápido. Todavía no es justo. Una persona que está casada con un ciudadano americano, usted piensa que, ok, en un mes, 2 meses, tiene su esposo o esposa aquí en el país con papeles porque están legalmente casados. No. Esos casos pueden durar años. Si tú una pareja aquí que ya está esperando más de 2 años por su cita con migración, es increíble la cantidad de tiempo que necesita para que el gobierno da una respuesta de sí o no a una aplicación así. Para ir a comprar una arma, tienen que esperar 2 años. No. Pero para traer su esposa aquí o su esposo aquí, sí toma demasiado tiempo. So el Biden dijo que vamos a hacerlo más rápido. Sí hemos visto que lo quitaron unos meses. Específicamente tenemos una entrevista al fin de mes que es mucho más rápido, como 3 meses rápido que pensaba que iba a ser. So eso es bueno, pero todavía no es justo. No es suficiente. Si el gobierno tiene que revisar los casos, estar seguro que está casado de veras, no para papeles nada más, yo entiendo eso, pero la cantidad de tiempo que dura ahorita todavía es bien injusto. También los anuncios de Biden, lo que hicieron este año pasado, era diciendo que lo están haciendo las actas de naturalización más rápido, haciendo aplicaciones de elección más rápido para que la gente que está en el ejército, cosas positivas que sí están avanzando, ¿verdad? Las cosas negativas que todavía existe, que está fuera de USCIS, pero todavía tiene el programa de queda en México de las personas que vienen de Centroamérica pidiendo asilo. Eso es una cosa negativa que no nos gusta que Biden siga haciendo. Tenemos otro video sobre este tema completo si usted quiere verlo. Otro anuncio nuevo es que tenemos un reporte que introducieron una propuesta, una nueva ley. Ya sé que todos están todavía traumatizados por la reforma que íbamos a tener el año pasado en enero y no pasó, pero una propuesta para que los cortes de migración salgan bajo el control del abogado general del país y ser más independientes. ¿Por qué es importante eso? Porque como está ahorita, y como siempre gente si tiene preguntas, ponle abajo para que lo puedan contestar antes de terminamos el live. En Phoenix, en el corte aquí en Phoenix, podemos ganar el caso con el juez, una audiencia de un día, miles de documentos, muchos argumentos legales, y el juez analiza el caso y dice, ok, ustedes ganan. Luego el gobierno haga una apelación a corte de apelación en Virginia, los jueces ahí estudian el caso, leen todo, dicen, sí, el juez estaba correcto en su decisión. En ese momento piensa que, ok, el caso ya está terminado, los jueces de apelación revisaron, el Corte Suprema no quería escuchar el caso, entonces está terminado. Pero no puede ser el fin. Como está ahorita, el abogado general del país puede tomar el caso y decir, ok, yo voy a hacer una decisión diferente. Completamente. Sin escuchar a la persona, sin escuchar a los abogados, nada más, a mí no me gustaba la decisión, voy a negar la aplicación. Eso es el poder ahorita que el presidente tiene para poner al abogado general en su posición para que pueda hacer eso en los casos. Y me entiendo que hay gente diciendo, pues eso no es posible, porque es Estados Unidos y algo así no pasa. La razón por qué Trump lo hizo, casos de asilo más difíciles de ganar, porque querían menos gente de Centroamérica y de México. ¿Cómo lo hicieron? Así. Exactamente así. El abogado general tomó el caso y escribió una decisión diferente, porque no le gustaba la decisión que hicieron los jueces ni el corte de apelación de los jueces. Bien injusto. Entonces lo que queremos es una separación. En vez de los cortes de inmigración depende tanto en quién es presidente, que ahorita está a nuestro favor, estamos haciendo cosas más positivas en corte de inmigración con Biden en poder, pero al fin de día no queremos que cada 4 años, cada 8 años se cambie tan drástico. Queremos un sistema de justicia. La justicia no debe cambiar dependiendo en quién es presidente. Entonces la propuesta es para poner los jueces de inmigración otra agencia completamente independiente que no está bajo el control del abogado general del país. Ojalá esos pasen. ¿Okay? Y otra vez, comunidad, estoy tomando preguntas ahorita y sí tengo un anuncio bien importante, algo nuevo, un cambio que lo estamos haciendo aquí en la oficina. Voy a anunciar brevemente. Pregunta aquí, tengo que preguntar, el estado de Ciudad Juárez, ¿es normal que espere para que lo liberen el pasaporte mexicano? Duré 7 días laborales, gracias, espero tu respuesta. Sí está todo tomando más tiempo que normal por COVID cuando estamos hablando de agarrando documentos y cosas de Ciudad Juárez. Hoy recibimos el anuncio que el gobierno de Estados Unidos puso México en nivel 4 por el riesgo por tanto COVID que lo están haciendo ahí. Me imagino que eso también significa que va a durar más tiempo por nuestras entrevistas en Juárez y los documentos de Juárez. Eso sí es probablemente algo que le va a hacer más duro que los 7 días, desafortunadamente, aquí adelante. Algo que no nos gustamos ver, pero es el anuncio hoy. Y es algo que tengo que explicar cuando vimos algo así en las noticias, digamos, pues, cómo va a afectar la migración. Pero afecta en el aspecto que el gobierno controlar todo el Departamento de Estado afuera del país. Si es un nivel más grande, puede durar más tiempo para que hagan documentos o menos citas en los consulados. Sí afecta migración también, un cambio así que hace el gobierno de los Estados Unidos. Eso es todo, comunidad. Si nadie más tiene preguntas, tengo que decir las noticias muy importantes. Aquí en nuestra oficina siempre, gracias, mi placer, siempre buscamos la manera en sirviendo mejor la comunidad. Cada día, todos los días, yo, mi esposa, todos que están aquí en la oficina, estamos pensando en cómo podemos servir mejor, cómo podemos dar mejores servicios, cómo podemos crecer, qué más cosas podemos hacer para hacer una experiencia más mejor en nuestra comunidad en relación a nuestro despacho. Por los últimos años, yo tuve que cobrar por las consultas. Y es algo porque gracias a Dios hemos recibido de ustedes tantas recomendaciones por nuestra honestidad, mandar gente con nosotros, que es la cosa más mejor que puede hacer para nosotros. Muchas gracias por su confianza. Pero porque recibimos tantos personas pidiendo ayuda, yo tuve que decir, ok, pues si quiere un análisis, que hablamos con el abogado, sí tenemos que cobrar. Lo que estamos haciendo ya es algo diferente. Queremos dar más servicio, mejor servicio a nuestra comunidad. Ya usted nos puede marcar 602-910-4040 o mandar texto y con gusto nosotros tomamos su información, hacemos cita, analizamos su caso y si podemos hacer algo o no, digamos sin cobrar. Eso es algo que hemos pensado en mucho tiempo y ya logramos al punto que podemos hacer eso. Si quiere un análisis de su caso de migración, nos marca, nos manda texto al número que está aquí. Nosotros podemos decirle si podemos ayudar o no sin costo a usted, que antes costó mucho dinero que nosotros podía decirle a usted si podemos ayudar o no. Ya podemos hacerlo sin costo. Por favor, nos marca 602-910-4040. Pasa el voz a su familia, a sus amigos, que ahorita puede recibir ese análisis, evaluación de su caso completamente gratis. Y como siempre, los casos penales y los casos de accidentes lo hacemos sin cobrar. ¿Okay? Mi placer. Gracias por estar aquí. Y claro que sí, Juan Loera. Hasta la victoria siempre. Ojalá tenga el chance muy pronto de ir a Flagstaff a ver la nueva tienda que tiene Mind Winds, nuestros amigos, nuestro café favorito que yo tomo todos los días. Déjenme tomar mi café. El Mind Winds Café ya llegó a Arizona y esperamos visitar ahí en Flagstaff y sigue haciendo el trabajo excelente ahí en Chiapas, Juan. Gusto verte. Y que todos tienen excelente semana. Aquí nos vemos en una semana, si no más pronto. Gracias.